The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm inside me. 4 years. 4 years I'd poured my heart and soul into my marriage with Giselle, and now, standing in the doorway of a cheap motel room in Atlantic City, it was all crumbling before my eyes. I'm Quinten, 46, an IT specialist. Not exactly the picture of masculinity, but I prided myself on being a good husband, a loyal partner. Giselle, with her fiery red hair and infectious laugh, had always seemed like the perfect match. We met at a tech conference a decade ago, and it felt like fate. We built a life together in Philadelphia, a cozy row house filled with love and laughter, or so I thought. The first crack appeared subtly, a change in Giselle's routine. She started working late, attending networking events I wasn't invited to. The warmth in her eyes seemed to dim, replaced by a distant, almost vacant look. I tried to talk to her, but she brushed it off as stress from work. I wanted to believe her, I really did, but a gnawing feeling of unease settled in my stomach. Then came the phone. A second phone hidden in her purse. I stumbled upon it while searching for a pen, a sleek, unfamiliar device. My heart pounded as I turned it on, a wave of dread washing over me. It was password protected, but after a few failed attempts, I managed to guess her mother's maiden name. The phone unlocked, revealing a series of text messages that shattered my world. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, my love," one message read, sent from a number I didn't recognize. "Thinking about last night. You were amazing." The messages continued, each one a dagger twisting in my gut. They spoke of stolen moments, secret rendezvous, and a passion I hadn't seen in Giselle's eyes for years. The sender was listed as Rhys, a name that meant nothing to me. I spent the next few days in a daze, replaying the messages in my head, trying to reconcile the woman I loved with the woman I was reading about. I confronted Giselle, but she denied everything, claiming the phone belonged to a colleague and the messages were a prank. I wanted to believe her, but the evidence was overwhelming. Driven by a desperate need for answers, I hired a private investigator. It felt like something out of a movie, but I didn't know what else to do. The investigator, a gruff woman named Bernice, promised to get to the bottom of it. A week later, she called with the information I both dreaded and craved. "Your wife is having an affair," Bernice said bluntly. "The man's name is Rhys. He's a bartender at a club in Atlantic City. They've been meeting there for the past few months." Atlantic City, a place Giselle had supposedly been visiting for business trips. The pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, forming a picture of betrayal that left me reeling. Bernice provided me with the address of the motel where they were meeting, a seedy establishment far from the glitz and glamour of the casinos. That's how I found myself standing in the rain, staring at room 204. I could hear muffled voices inside, Giselle's laughter mingling with a deeper, unfamiliar tone. My hand trembled as I raised it to knock, but I hesitated. Part of me still clung to the hope that this was all a mistake, a terrible misunderstanding. But the messages, the investigator's report, the undeniable truth staring me in the face, it was all too real. With a surge of anger and heartbreak, I slammed my fist against the door. The voices inside stopped abruptly. A moment later, the door creaked open, revealing Rhys, a tall, muscular man with a smug look on his face. He was shirtless, his eyes widening in surprise as he saw me. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded. "I'm Quinten," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "Giselle's husband." Rhys's smirk vanished, replaced by a look of panic. He tried to slam the door shut, but I pushed my way inside, stumbling into the dimly lit room. Giselle was sitting on the bed, wearing only a silk robe, her face contorted with shock. "Quinten, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "What am I doing here?" "I think that's my line, Giselle," I said, my voice cracking. "I know about you, about Rhys, about everything." Tears welled up in Giselle's eyes, but I felt no sympathy. "The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was a stranger to me now. It's not what you think," she pleaded. "Oh, really? Then tell me, Giselle, what exactly is it?" I challenged, gesturing around the room. "Is this one of your business trips? Is Rhys your new colleague?" She didn't answer, her silence speaking volumes. Rhys stepped forward, attempting to play the tough guy. "Look, buddy, this is between us," he said, his voice laced with arrogance. "Why don't you just leave and forget about it, forget about it?" I repeated, incredulous. "You think I can just forget about my wife cheating on me with you?" I lunged at Rhys, fueled by years of pent-up frustration and betrayal. He was bigger and stronger than me, but I didn't care. I landed a few blows before he overpowered me, pinning me against the wall. Giselle screamed, begging us to stop. But I was beyond reason, consumed by a rage I had never felt before. Finally, Rhys released me, shoving me away. "Get out of here, Quinten," Giselle said, her voice cold and hard. "Just leave, it's over." Those words hit me harder than any punch. It was over. My marriage, my life, everything I had built with Giselle was gone. I stumbled out of the motel room, the rain washing over me, but it couldn't cleanse the pain in my heart. I drove back to Philadelphia, the city lights blurring through my tears. I spent the night packing my belongings, filling boxes with memories that now felt tainted and hollow. The next morning, I filed for divorce. Giselle didn't contest it. She simply signed the papers and walked away, leaving me with nothing but shattered dreams and a broken heart. I moved into a small apartment, a sterile, impersonal space that reflected the emptiness inside me. I threw myself into my work, burying myself in code and algorithms, trying to escape the constant ache of betrayal. Months passed, and the pain began to subside, replaced by a dull, lingering sadness. I started seeing a therapist, a kind woman named Astrid who helped me process my emotions and rebuild my self-esteem. One day, Astrid suggested I try something new, something outside my comfort zone. "You need to rediscover yourself, Quinten," she said. "Find something that brings you joy, something that reminds you who you are." I thought about her words, searching for something that resonated with me. I had always been interested in photography, capturing moments in time, freezing them forever. I decided to buy a camera and start exploring the city, documenting its hidden corners and forgotten stories. Photography became my therapy, a way to express my emotions without words. I wandered through the streets of Philadelphia, capturing the beauty and the grit, the joy and the sorrow. I started sharing my photos online, and to my surprise, people responded to them. They saw the pain in my eyes, the resilience in my spirit. One of my photos caught the attention of a local gallery owner, a sharp-eyed woman named Solveig. She invited me to exhibit my work, a prospect that terrified and excited me in equal measure. The exhibition was a success. People connected with my photos, they saw the story I was trying to tell. I sold several prints and received positive reviews from local critics. For the first time since Giselle left, I felt a sense of purpose, a sense of hope. But the past has a way of resurfacing, even when you think you've moved on. One evening, as I was packing up after the exhibition, I saw a familiar face in the crowd. It was Giselle, her red hair now faded and dull, her eyes filled with a mixture of regret and desperation. "Quinten," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I need to talk to you." I hesitated, unsure if I wanted to hear what she had to say. But curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet her for coffee the next day. The next morning, Giselle arrived at the coffee shop looking pale and drawn. She fidgeted with her hands, avoiding my gaze. "I know I hurt you, Quinten," she said, her voice trembling. "I know I made a terrible mistake." "A mistake?" "Giselle, you had an affair," I said, my voice flat. "That's not a mistake, that's a choice." "I was unhappy," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "I felt like we were drifting apart. I was lonely." "So you decided to cheat on me?" I asked, incredulous. "That was your solution to being lonely?" She didn't answer, her silence confirming my suspicions. I took a sip of my coffee, trying to control my anger. "Why are you here, Giselle?" I asked. "What do you want?" "I want you back," she said, her voice pleading. "I know I don't deserve it, but I miss you, Quinten. I miss our life together." I stared at her, trying to comprehend her audacity. After everything she had done, after the pain she had caused, she expected me to take her back. "You're too late, Giselle," I said, shaking my head. "I'm not the same person I was when you left. I've moved on. I've built a new life for myself, but I've changed too," she insisted. "I've learned my lesson. I'll do anything to make it up to you." "Anything?" I asked, a cruel smile playing on my lips. "Would you jump off a bridge for me, Giselle? Would you sacrifice your happiness for me?" She hesitated, her eyes betraying her uncertainty. I knew then that she hadn't changed, that she was still the same selfish woman who had betrayed me. "It's over, Giselle," I said, standing up. "There's nothing left for us. I wish you well, but please don't contact me again." I walked away, leaving her sitting alone at the table, her tears falling into her coffee. I didn't look back. I knew I had made the right decision. I deserved better. I deserved someone who would love and respect me unconditionally. As I walked down the street, I felt a sense of closure, a sense of peace. The rain had stopped and the sun was shining, casting a golden glow over the city. I had survived the storm and I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. I was Quinten, the photographer, the survivor, the man who had finally found his own happiness, independent of anyone else. A few weeks later, I received a message from Bernice, the private investigator. She had some additional information about Rhys, the bartender. Apparently, he had a history of scamming women, preying on their vulnerabilities and manipulating them for money. He had moved on to another city, leaving Giselle heartbroken and financially ruined. I felt a pang of sympathy for Giselle, but it was fleeting. She had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. I had my own life to live, my own path to follow. I was finally free, and I wasn't going to let anyone, not even Giselle, take that away from me. I continued to pursue my photography, traveling to different cities, capturing the stories of ordinary people. I found beauty in the unexpected, resilience in the face of adversity. I learned to appreciate the simple things in life, the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the kindness of strangers. I never remarried, but I found companionship and connection in my friendships and in my art. I realized that happiness wasn't about finding the perfect partner. It was about finding peace within yourself. Years later, I received an invitation to a photography exhibition in New York City. The artist was a young woman named Bront, whose work was raw, honest, and deeply moving. As I admired her photos, I noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was Rhys, looking older and more worn down, but still recognizable. He caught my eye and a flicker of recognition crossed his face. He quickly turned away, disappearing into the crowd. I didn't pursue him. I had no desire for revenge, no need for closure. He was a ghost from my past, a reminder of a painful chapter in my life. I approached Bront, congratulating her on her exhibition. She smiled, her eyes sparkling with passion. "Thank you," she said. "Your work is amazing too. I've been following you for years. We talked for hours, sharing our stories, our inspirations, our dreams. I felt a connection with her, a shared understanding of the human experience. As I left the exhibition, I realized that life is full of surprises, both good and bad. Betrayal can shatter your world, but it can also open you up to new possibilities, new connections, new beginnings. The pain may never completely disappear, but it can be transformed into something beautiful, something meaningful. I am Quinten, the photographer, the survivor, the man who learned to love again, not in the way I expected, but in a way that was even more profound and fulfilling. And that, in the end, is all that matters.